Hi everyone. Before we start debugging our Lightning Web components, we have to first prepare our environment. As I told you in the previous video, in this video, we are going to see how to configure and set up your environment, both your Salesforce Org and also your Chrome developer tools for debugging our Lightning Web components. Okay. But before moving ahead with our configurations and settings, let us first understand how Salesforce provides our JavaScript code to the browser. Okay, only then you will be able to understand why we are doing all these configurations and preparations. Okay, let me quickly jump to the browser now. Okay, so in my browser, I just this is my org, right? So this is a component. I just right clicked on this and just chose this inspect as I told you in the previous video. And I am under the sources tab. Okay. So in this, you could see all the Lightning Web components and their JavaScript files. So you could see this under the Lightning folder. Under that, you will be able to see modules. Under that, you will be able to see the Lightning Web components, whatever you have placed in the current page. Okay. Now, this is my component, right? So we have some issue with our component. So we need to debug our Lightning Web components. But when you check the file, this is my file, okay, which is actually having some issue. We have to debug this particular code only. Okay. Now look at the code here, how it looks now. Do you think that this code is readable? Just check this code. It shows my code in a different format. Look at the code, entire code. Okay. Let me show you the original code. Okay, let me show you the original code in the VS Code now. Look at this. This is my original code. Okay. So it is having up to some 92 lines of code I'm having here. But look at your code at the browser. It is showing in a single line or just double line. Okay. So what is happening here? Why it is looking like this? We are going to understand. Only when you understand why this browser is showing up our JavaScript code in this format, you will understand why we have to do all the configurations. Okay. Let us first understand what is this code. Okay. Why it is looking like this. Okay. What is happening? Why Salesforce is sending our JavaScript code to the browser in some other format, which we are not even able to read at all, right? Then how will we debug this? When we are not even able to read this code, how will we debug this, right? Let us first understand. So what you are seeing now in the browser, which the Salesforce sends to the browser, is actually in a special mode called as production mode. Okay. It is in a special mode called as production mode. Okay. In the production mode, your JavaScript code will be minified. So the code what you're seeing now in the browser is actually the minified version of your original code. Okay. So it is minified or shrinked. Okay. Let us understand why it is shrinked or why it is minified also. Okay. So first of all, you have to understand in production mode, your JavaScript code will be minified. So if you have a very big JavaScript code, you would have written some more lines of code, but it will be shrinked into a small or very smaller size. Okay. So this is what happens. So the reason is it's going to be very simple. The reason is going to be very simple. So for optimization or performance enhancement. Okay. So if you want your browser to quickly load your page and quickly see all the changes, whatever you make, or whenever you want to load your page very fast, for this reason, for the performance enhancement, Salesforce provides the JavaScript code to the browser in the production mode. Okay. The production mode, the code will be entirely shrinked or minified. So it will be reduced to some sizes. So many bytes, it will be reduced. Your code bytes will be reduced. Okay. The reason behind this is because it is going to increase the performance of your component. That is the reason by default, you have to understand in the product, this production mode is actually the default mode. Okay. Default mode. The complete ultimate reason behind this is to improvise your performance of your component. Okay, so it can quickly process this minified version of your code. Now look at this minified version. Okay, what happens is how it is minifying is it is removing all the extra spaces, the tabs, the enter whatever you have given, the comments, everything, all unnecessary things it removes off. Okay, and what it does is even it just renames the functions. It is just using a single character for the functions, even for the variables or the properties you can see here. So it actually shrinks the entire code into a very, very small minified version of your code. The reason behind this is because to process very faster. Okay, that is the reason the browser is very quickly processing your entire code. Okay, so this is the reason. So let us see some of the advantage. So as I told you, this is a default mode, right? As I told you many times, this mode is an optimized mode. Okay, it increases the performance of your component. As I told you many times, so the JavaScript will be minified. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Now look at the disadvantage. Yes, it is going to optimize, it is going to improvise your performance of your component. But when a developer is facing some issue with the component, do you think that he can debug this code? It is completely not possible, right? We developers, we cannot even read it. Then how can we debug this? Okay. So how to make this code a readable one, or how to bring the original code to debug and make your component work properly? That is where we have another mode. Okay, so that is where we have another mode which is called as debug mode. So in Salesforce we have two execution modes. The first one what we have seen is production mode, which we have seen just before, which is a minified version of your entire code. The second mode is debug mode. Okay, this is actually the developer friendly mode because you will be seeing your original code in your browser. You can just debug your code. So I would have shown you in the previous video the code in the browser which was looking as similar as your VS Code, right? Because I was enabling the debug mode. Okay, now it's not enabled. That's why you're seeing the production mode code here. Okay. So why we are going for a debug mode is because we need to read our code. We have to debug our code, right? So in order to make it readable, we are going to unminify the code. Okay. So let us see how to do that. So you can also work along with me so that you will be able to understand why we are doing this first configuration. So this is the first setting we are going to do in our Salesforce org. Okay, inside our Salesforce org, we have the debug mode. Okay, let us understand how to enable the debug mode. So this, as I told you, it will be unminified version. It will be readable and it is easy to debug. That is the reason we are actually enabling the debug mode. Okay, I hope it is clear, right? So why we have to enable this debug mode? Okay, so now let us go back to our Salesforce org. What you can do is you can also work along with this video so that you'll be able to understand why we are doing each and every configuration. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let us go to the setup, okay, and go to the quick find. And let us go to the quick find. Here, I want you to type debug mode. Okay, so you could see here debug mode under the lightning components. You could see here debug mode, right? Just click on this. So once you click on this, okay, you could see here the list of users. Okay, so this is the list of users we have here. So this debug mode, what we can do is we can actually enable for a particular developer alone. Okay, so this debug mode, I will repeat it, we can actually enable for a particular developer. So another important thing I want you to mention here is because we are enabling the debug mode, your Salesforce will start to behave very slow. Once the debug mode is enabled, the enabled user's environment will behave a little bit slower than others. So I completely recommend this particular mode to be enabled only in the sandboxes. Okay, so don't do this in the production environment. Do only in the sandboxes for testing and development, for debugging. Okay, so now what am I going to do is I'm going to enable for myself. Okay, so I'm going to choose my name. Okay, you can just click on this checkbox and you have the enable, right? Just click on this enable. So once you click on this enable button, you will be able to see a check mark for my name. Okay. So which shows that debug mode is enabled for me. Okay, you could also read this, what they have given here. Okay, so once I refresh this page, you will be seeing a warning message by Salesforce at the top. So I hope you're also able to see here, right? So debug mode is enabled for the Lightning Web Components. Salesforce is slower in debug mode. Okay. So see here, you also see something called as EPT. Okay. So what is this EPT? So what is EPT is? EPT means experience page time. Okay. So experience to page time means it shows the performance metric of your page load. So how much seconds it took for this particular page to load and how much file size. Okay, all these informations you could see here. So this shows up only when you enable the debug mode. Okay, so this is the first mode we have enabled in our Salesforce org. Okay, so what is the next configuration we are going to do is, see, since we are going to do some debugging, right? So what we will be doing is we will be just modifying the code. You'll be setting up some breakpoints, as I told you in the previous video. We will be trying out many things and we will be refreshing this page and seeing the changes, whether the code is working properly or not. We'll be testing and debugging this component, right? So the changes should immediately apply on your component and you should be able to see the changes immediately after a single refresh. Okay. To do that, we have to do a very important configuration. Or else what happens is only after multiple refreshes, after 10 minutes only, you'll be able to see the changes reflecting in your component. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to go to the session settings in the quick find. Okay, so in the setup, okay, in the setup only I'm here. So in the quick find, okay, okay, so here I want you to type for session settings. Okay, so go to the session settings and you have to come top, go to the top. Okay, so you have to remove this checkbox. Okay, enable secure and persistent browser caching to improve performance. So this one you have to remove, or else what will happen is you will not be able to see your changes immediately in your component. You have to do multiple refreshes and you have to wait for so much time to reflect to see the changes in your component. Okay, so let us just remove this. But removing this is not a good practice. Okay, so as I told you, we are doing this in the sandbox or a developer org only. You shouldn't do this in your production environment. Okay. Now come down and save this configuration. Okay. Fine. So once this is done, let us come back to our um, browser. Okay. So now we have done two important configurations in our org. Okay. So those are enough for us to debug our Lightning Web Components in the browser. Okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to do some more configurations in this particular developer tools. Okay. What are those? Let us see now. So here you can see here in the top, you could see here there is a settings, right? I hope everyone are able to see this, right? So just click on this settings. And here what we are going to do here is we are going to scroll down. So, okay, here you could see the custom formatters. Okay, this custom formatters we have to check. What is this custom formatters is? So only when you check this, you'll be able to see the variables, the properties, the LWC objects and the values properly. Or else you will not be able to read your code, you will not be able to debug it. Okay, so just give this checkbox a check, custom formatters. Okay, just do this and just close this. Now let us refresh this page. Okay, and let us come to the sources again. Now I think we are seeing the code. Okay, let me just drag this and go to my component. Okay, now you could see here your component is looking here. Okay, you are seeing the component here, right? So you could see the code, whatever we have written there in our VS code. So it is now unminified. Okay, it is now unminified. Okay, now it is for me, it is easy for me to debug this particular code. Now, if you want to go back to the production code, you have the pretty print. You could see the curly braces here. I hope you are able to see here, right? The bottom, you are seeing this, right? Just if you click this, it will be going back. Okay, let me just enable this. So since we have enabled the debug mode, you're not able to go back to your production mode. Okay. So this will actually toggle for you. So if you just check this, it will be going back to your production mode. Okay. So this is the symbol for going back to your production mode. Okay. Now we have enabled the debug mode, right? Okay, fine. So now we are all set. Okay, we have done some three important configurations. The two configurations we have done in the Salesforce org, we have enabled ourselves as a debug mode developer. Okay, so we have given for us alone the debug mode. We have enabled debug mode for ourselves. And also we have actually enabled one more configurations in the session settings. Okay, so the catch based one settings we have actually disabled it. Okay, those two settings are enough for us to debug our Lightning Web Components. And in the browser, in the Chrome Dev Tools, you have to just go down to just give the custom formatters a check. Okay, as I told you, the custom formatters are useful for you to see your um, LWC variables, objects, and values properly. Okay, that is the reason you're seeing it very clearly now. Okay, so this is the configuration. These are the configurations are crucial for you to do in your org and also in your browser developer tools. I hope it is enough for this particular debugging sessions. So in the next video, we are going to see a live debugging of how to debug our Lightning Web Components, which is having some issue and it's not working as expected, right? So you can check this particular documentation and you can actually go through this. Okay. So I hope in this video you would have got a clarity why we are actually configuring all these configurations or the settings in both the org and also in the Chrome Dev Tools. Okay. So you can provide your feedback regarding this particular video by scanning this QR code. Let us meet in the next video. Thank you.